True stories in the life of Ronnie B. Employment Law Challenge worldwide on YouTube, Day 1.
Good morning, folks. How are you again this morning, eh? I hope you're enjoying my blog. Now, you're probably sitting there and saying, what's this guy up to? Now he's sitting here with a collar and tie on and a suit and everything. What's he all about? Well, you see, there are two sides to Ronnie Bishop. Ronnie Bishop is a hard-nosed businessman, but he's also a comedian, and he trades under the name of Ronnie B. So what you're about to see today on this video is the hard-nosed businessman. That's why I got the tie on. And it's a warning to you all that you never, ever, ever double-cross Ronald Edward Bishop from Timaru, New Zealand. So let's get started, shall we? And start by reading the headline on Ronnie's blog this morning. Timaru businessman challenges the New Zealand employment law publicly worldwide on YouTube. Please note, I was not giving out idle threats to those who betrayed us and defamed my character when I wrote that I was going to make a public inquiry online into our employment case in a bid to reverse the judge's decision, while at the same time attempt to change the New Zealand employment law for the benefit of all New Zealand business owners. All parties involved in the case have been warned of our pending public challenge, and to date no valid objections have been received. Public domain. Our case has been through mediation, an Employment Relations Authority investigation, Timaru Police internal investigation, the Timaru Employment Court, and the case is now in the public domain. Therefore, we are at liberty to use people's names provided we tell the truth and comply with the New Zealand Bill of Rights Act 1688. Using people's real names protects those that may be innocent. All those who are accused of any wrongdoing have been informed of the online investigation, and they have been given the right to claim their innocence by making comments on Ronnie's blog. www.timarudirectory.co.nz/news. At this point in time, only the applicant for the claim, Christine Florence Bennett, has made any comments online. In doing so, Miss Bennett has also been given the opportunity to admit her wrongdoing in the case publicly, and she has been invited to help us change the employment law, but she remains silent along with all the many others who have been accused of wrongdoing in the Employment Relations Authority case, file number 5136023. Mediation meeting. A mediation meeting was held between the parties and was supervised by an unknown staff member of the Department of Labour. No independent person was appointed at the mediation meeting to take notes, which means no records of the meeting were ever kept for future reference. The applicant and her counsel, Anne-Marie McRae, left the meeting before it was officially closed, and no official minutes were taken by the Department of Labour supervisor. There was a dispute of the amount of the wages and holiday pay, and a few days after the mediation meeting, Miss Bennett's counsel returned her uncashed wage cheque, claiming it was some $50 short, and that an application had been lodged to have an investigation meeting with the Employment Relations Authority. My wife and I never received a visit to our home or office by the investigator. A public investigation meeting was held in the South Canterbury Club on the 28th of August 2009, and once again no independent person was appointed to take notes. The determination of the authorities showing the result of that meeting was dated 13 weeks later, on the 21st of December 2009, and was served on the respondents by standard post and not personal service. There was no affidavit of service filed, and my wife and I were given just 28 days, including all statutory holidays, to challenge the determination of the Employment Relations Authority. No law firms were available to us over the Christmas holiday period. Miss Bennett was a client of at least 6 law firms in our hometown of Timaru, which denied us any legal advice or assistance during that time. The determination of the Employment Authority reads as follows. In the Employment Relations Authority Christchurch, case number CA 21809, file number 5136023, Christine Florence Bennett, shop assistant, is the applicant, and Ronald Edward Bishop and Margaret Ellen Bishop, trading as Debtor Communications, are the respondents. Member of the authority was Helen Doyle. Representatives Anne-Marie McRae, counsel for the applicant, and Ronald and Margaret Bishop were in attendance in person. An investigation meeting was the 28th of August 2009 at Timaru. Submissions received 28th of August from applicant and September the 2009 correspondence from respondents. Determination of the authority. Employment relations problem. In brief, Christine Bennett says she was unjustifiably dismissed on the 8th of August 2008 as Office Administrator with Ronald and Margaret Bishop, trading as Debtor Communications, compensation of $15,000 plus wages, a total claim of $16,408.50. Mr. and Mrs. Bishop counterclaim against Miss Bennett, including known costs of $29,653.99 caused by the dispute of plus $15,000 in compensation, causing worry and stress within the Bishop family, to a total of $42,653.99. Jeff Goldstein, Christchurch practicing barrister. Jeff Goldstein, Christchurch sole practicing barrister. Mr. Goldstein took instructions from us with the promise that he would act for us as our counsel in proceedings in the employment court. Mr. Goldstein broke his verbal contract that he had with us and withdrew his services, leaving us to defend ourselves without legal advice and only a few days to file the challenge. We were later informed that was because he was a sole barrister, he was not permitted to take instructions from us at all. We laid an official complaint to the New Zealand Law Society about Mr. Goldstein's wrongful actions, only to be told that he was given the instructions to act for us by Shauna McClellan, a woman solicitor who we have never met or heard of before. It turns out that Mr. Goldstein is now in practice as an employment lawyer in the practice of Goldstein, Ryder, McClellan in Recordon in Christchurch. His partner in the law firm, Shauna McClellan, was used as his cover-up, as she has refused to make comment on the situation, while the New Zealand Law Society is refusing to answer our emails regarding their involvement in our complaint. More on this story as it unfolds. Yes, folks, there's going to be a lot more. A lot more. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going right through our case, and I'm going to recite it on Ronnie's blog. Right here, you'll be able to follow it. I have no idea how long it's going to take me. I'm just going to keep writing every day. I will write something and I will read it out online here. And you will be able to make comment. Our blog is open. You can put comments in there and I will reply to them. So this is a public inquiry going worldwide, and I want as many comments as possible so we can get some overview of what the New Zealand employment law is like in New Zealand. I hold no malice to Miss Christine Bennett. I'm trying to help her, but she won't be helped. So I'm just carrying on best I can. I have no legal advice. I'm doing it all on my own. So till tomorrow morning, keep smiling. Bye-bye.
Employment Law Challenge. Caught in a Trap. Day 2.
Good morning, everybody. How are you this morning? Well, it's morning here in New Zealand. My name's Ron Bishop. Some of you will have known me by now and you've been following my blog, and I hope you're enjoying it. To those of you who are coming online for the first time, welcome to Ronnie's blog. At the moment, I talk about lots of things, but at the moment I'm talking about employment law in New Zealand. And I'm running a test case. I was involved with employment law here in a test case, and I'm putting it on YouTube and explaining things, exactly what happened. In 2006, I was a very busy man. I was running 3 businesses. I was running Debtor Communications, which was a debt collection agency. I was running Timaru Tourist Promotions, which is promoting tourism. And I was running a personal self-development program for clients, teaching them self-development skills. And I needed staff to run my debt collection business, so I advertised in the local newspaper. And a lady by the name of Christine Bennett was one of the ones that applied. And she came with good references. She had worked for the National Bank. She had worked for Harvey World Travel and Thomas Cook Travel in the foreign exchange divisions. She'd also worked in the foreign exchange of the National Bank. And she had experience in sales and marketing with Brian Stanford Insurance Brokers. So I'm going to start the morning by reading you a letter I wrote to Christine Bennett from Timaru. And this is what the letter said. It is with pleasure that I offer you the position of Administration and Marketing Manager with my group of businesses. The businesses you will be working for are Debtor Communications, Timaru Tourist Promotions Limited, Personal Self-Development Programs. Duties. Your duties will consist of office administration, account collections, sales and marketing. Hours. You may work up to 40 hours a week, starting at 25 hours a week until the workload increases. Your hours of work may be flexible, provided they work in with other team members. Remuneration. Your hourly rate of pay will be $15 per hour, paid fortnightly. Holiday and sick pay. The standard allowances as per the Employment Act will apply. Trial period. You'll be given 6 months trial period to settle into your work, of which time your performance will be assessed and your hourly rate reviewed. Responsibility. You'll report directly to myself and be responsible for the training of any junior staff. You have shown real initiative so far, Christine, and we are looking forward to a long association with you. Signed, Ronnie Bishop, General Manager. Over here, we have another letter. Over here we have another letter from Ron and Margaret Bishop, trading as Debtor Communications, and dated the 8th of August 2008. Dear Christine, thank you for your services over the last couple of years. However, we regret to inform you that you have left us no alternative but to dismiss you immediately from our employment. We are dismissing you on the ground that we have several reasons to believe that you have been dishonest in some of your dealings with us. You have also displayed verbal and physical abuse whenever I have questioned you about these matters. I gave you a written warning, but your attitude towards me has not changed. You have been reluctant to talk to me about any of these matters or discuss your future role with Debtor Communications. Under the circumstances, I feel I can no longer work with you or trust you, so it is best for all parties concerned if you left our employment today. We wish you God's blessings for your future. Ron and Margaret Bishop. That's called dismissal at short notice. So what actually happened? What went wrong between my relationship with Christine and her relationship with me? Well, that's the basis of this test case that I'm running here today, because it went on and on and on. It went on for over 4 years. And I'm going to tell you now what actually happened. Christine had been working for me for about a week, and she came to me and she said, Ron, we need to earn interest on the trust money. We had trust money which we were looking after for our clients. When debtors, we were a debt collection agency, and when debtors paid their debts, it went into a trust account, and then we paid every month, we paid out our clients. And Christine wanted to earn interest on that money. So she said, we should open a bank account which earns interest. And I said, no, we don't need interest. That's not what we do. But anyway, she took no notice of that. She got on to the bank, the National Bank, who she used to work for. She rang them up and she said, we want to open another bank account. I've started a new job and I want to open a bank account with the company I work for. Well, as it turned out, the bloke on the other end of the phone said, oh, that's no trouble, Christine. It's all fixed. We'll open an 08 account and away you go. And she came and told me, she said, well, I've opened this account. And I said, how did you do that? She said, I did it on the phone. And I thought, well, that's strange. I haven't signed any documents. How can someone open a bank account in another person's name without me signing things? But I was busy and I just kept going and I didn't worry about it too much until things started to go wrong. And this is what happened. Christine had come to me and said, Ron, I've got a lot of clients, investment and insurance clients, because I used to work for Brian Stanford Insurance Brokers, and I've got a lot of clients. I would like to retain them if I could. And I said, well, Christine, I have a company, or a trading name called Timaru Finance Brokers. We could set up some agencies with investment companies and insurance companies, and you could sell insurance, and that give us extra income. And if you work hard, you might be able to get a pay rise. I said, I'll leave it to you to try and get some agencies. So away she went, and she went and got an agency with Fidelity Life Insurance. Now, the lady came down from Christchurch to sign up the deal, and I said, well, how are we getting on with the deal? And she said, it's all fixed, it's all signed up. Now, what she didn't tell me, she'd signed it up in her own personal name. She'd used my trading name, Timaru Finance Brokers, and her name trading as Timaru Finance Brokers. And she started selling insurance in my office during my time, and I was paying her $15 an hour. And here she was selling insurance in my office. I was paying her by the hour, and she was getting this commission. And the commission, she told me one day, she said, I want to go on holiday. She'd only been with us about 6 months. She wasn't entitled to any holidays, but I said, oh, well, okay, I'll let you go on holiday for a couple of weeks. So away she went, and the day before she went, she said, I need some money. And I said, what for? She said, well, I've been selling all this insurance. I've got $5,200 going in your bank account today, and some of it's mine. And I said, what do you mean it's yours? She said, I get commission. And there was no arrangement for me to pay her any commission. As far as I was concerned, she was getting $15 an hour. But anyway, she had to have this money in a hurry because she was going the next day. So she started putting checks under my nose and asking me to sign them. And she said, don't worry, there's over $5,000 in the bank to cover them. I trusted Christine. I didn't think she'd put it across me. And away she went on holiday. Well, when she went away, we discovered something. All the commissions had gone into my bank account, but she'd gone into the bank account that she opened through the National Bank, that 08 account. All the money went in there. And when it went in there, she juggled it all around amongst the different bank accounts. We had 3 bank accounts by then. 3 bank accounts, and she was juggling it all around the different bank accounts, and then taking it out and putting it in her own name, writing out cash checks, all sorts of things. She was signing checks, and she never had signing authority, and she was signing the checks. Now, I'm going to show you those checks shortly, but I'm just giving you an overview here of what happened. Here's one of the 6 checks she signed. That's her signature there on the right-hand side. That's mine on the left-hand side. It's made out to cash and it's for $2,000. And she put it under my nose and said, would you sign this? And I said, but you've already signed it. How come you signed it? And she said, oh, I've signed so many checks. She said, I forgot. And she said, this is my commission. So she was going on holiday the next day, and I didn't want to have an argument with her, so I let it go and thought I'll work it out when she comes back. So over here, we see the same check again that's cancelled. The check had been cancelled. Now, I don't know how it got cancelled, but you can see the bank stamp there, and it had gone to the bank and was cancelled. Here's another check down here for $855.77, and my signature's not on it, just her signature, and that's also made out to cash. Over here, we have a foreign exchange sale document, and you can see there that she has withdrawn the sum of $2,000 plus brokerage, and it's as per cheque. And the cheque, of course, was this other cheque here that was cancelled. So she'd used the cancelled cheque to withdraw money for foreign exchange. There's another cheque down here for cash, $1,500. Once again, signed by both of us, but I said to her, why have you signed the cheque? She said, I forgot. That's pretty straightforward, isn't it? That would show you that that lady had been dishonest. And that's why, one of the many reasons why I dismissed her. And it went to the Employment Relations Authority. We had a special investigation meeting, and the lady that ran it said Miss Christine was not dishonest. It also went right through to the Employment Court, and the Employment Judge also said in his summing up that Christine was not dishonest. So I'm going to continue now, showing you some other things that Christine did where the judge said she was not dishonest. We're looking at a page of Christine's wage book. And down here you'll see that there was a $17 toilet seat being added to her wages without my permission. She just added it onto her wages. She never said to me we needed a toilet seat, but that's what she did. She would just want something, she just added onto her wages. Over here, we have some dockets from warehouse stationery. Christina was going into there and picking up warehouse stationery in our name, no permission to do so, but she was doing it. Not only that, Scott Bennett was her son. He went in there and booked up stamps and envelopes, $300 worth of stamps and envelopes. And he was the manager of her wine bar called Barcode. In the last week of Christine's employment with us, she went and booked up a lot of stuff, and I growled at her about it, and stuff we didn't need. Anyway, she went into my office, and she took the stuff out of my office and took it home. And I said to her, where's all that stuff? Where's that stationery? She said, I took it home. And she came back with this chart which said, this bit of paper which says $52.30 for stationery, so she kept the stationery, plus overpayment of wages, $22.80. I don't know what that was all about, hadn't a clue. $6.45 for dishwashing liquid and liquid soap, and apparently she bought that and she added it on to her wages. All this was going on. $2 for some stamps and envelopes, which she took without my permission. And here's a cheque over here for $70.75. So she thought that she could steal this stuff out of my office and then pay for it if she got found out. And that cheque is made out, is from Harry Travail also, who was a partner. We're looking at another cheque made out to Christine Bennett, and this is her wages and holiday pay for $632.55. She was given that cheque after the mediation meeting, and she sent it back, saying it wasn't enough, it was $50 short. But she wanted to take a personal grievance claim. And she went on right through the personal grievance claim and spent $40,000 on a lawyer to do it. It sounds like a bit of a fairy tale, doesn't it? I dismissed a woman for dishonesty. I've just shown you some of the dishonest things that she did. There's many more, but I've shown you some. And I've shown it to you because it's just highlighting how wrong the New Zealand employment law is in New Zealand. Judges are wiping things under the carpet. Now let me tell you what I did when I discovered the things that were going wrong. I went to the police, the Timaru police, and I saw a detective called Kevin Burns. And I took my accountant with me as well, by the way. And I said to him, this woman has done some terrible things in my office. He said, oh yes, I know her. She's a white-collar criminal. He said, if you keep her employed, she'll make you lots of money because she's hungry for money. That was his advice. And he did nothing about it. I expected him to go and see her and take a statement from her, but he never did. And I've since found out that the police don't get involved in employment disputes in New Zealand. You can do what you like. You can thieve, you can commit fraud, like Christine did, all that sort of stuff, but you can't be prosecuted. The police will not do anything. They never prosecute anyone in the workplace. After it all blew up, I went back to the police and said, this bloke, where's this fella Kevin Burns? They said, oh, he's left the police force. He doesn't work for us anymore. He's gone out on his own. And I said, well, where is his report? He said, well, he didn't leave a report. You didn't come and see him. And I said, yes, I did. I had my accountant with me. And he never left a report. So I complained, and I said, I want another investigation done. Well, they'd done an investigation, all right, but they did it internally. They didn't come and see Christine and take a reference from her. They just did it internally and said, oh, no, there's nothing wrong with it. She was okay. So I wrote to the chief of police. What's his name? Just a minute, I'll get your name for you. Yeah, the commissioner of police is a fellow by the name of Peter Marshall. So I wrote to Peter Marshall. I sent up all the evidence, all the copies of the checks, all the fraudulent stuff that she'd done. And guess what? He never even replied to my mail. I can't get the police to do anything. They just don't want to know about employment law. Well, what did it cost me? $30,000, over $30,000 just in compensation. We had to pay Christine Bennett over $30,000 for wages, holiday pay, unemployment benefit while she's unemployed, personal grievance claim for hurting her feelings and humiliating her. All this stuff, over $30,000. I could not get a solicitor. I'll come back and tell you about that next week, or tomorrow, sorry. I'll come back and tell you about how we could not get a solicitor, and it cost us a fortune. And I am claiming from all those people involved $1 million. How do I arrive at the $1 million? Well, I arrive at it like this. I have a reputation to keep in the community, and my reputation is worth $1 million. I've been 4 years without an income because of what happened, and I'll tell you about that tomorrow when I come back. So in the meantime, have a good day, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Employment Law Challenge. Government versus Ron and Christine. Day 3.
Well, good morning, folks. How are you? You going to have a good day today? That's good. Now listen, I'm in a strange house at the moment. I'm at my son's place. They're away on holiday, and I'm looking after their 2 cats and a dog. So if you hear some cats running around or some dogs barking, you know it's where it's coming from. Listen, I thought this morning, I've been lying in bed thinking about what am I going to say this morning. I've been giving Christine a hard time, and I've been sligging off with the government, and I've been talking about myself a lot, and you're probably all confused, you know what's going on? So I thought this morning I would break it down into 3 areas. First of all, I'm going to talk about the government. Then I'm going to talk about myself, and then I'm going to talk about Christine. Christine, by the way, for those of you who don't know, is a woman who I had to dismiss from my employment, and she took a personal grievance claim against me and won. Now, I'm here today to try and change the employment law in New Zealand because it's corrupt. I believe it's corrupt, and and what makes me believe it's corrupt is the fact that I'm experiencing it. I've been through it. Okay? Now, I've been around a long time. And I've been around long enough to know that people do things for reasons. Nobody does anything without a reason. And the government does things for reasons. The government is in charge of the laws in this country. And they do it for a reason. One of the laws in this country is the Employment Relations Act, which is a law that says what employers and employees cannot do. and it's one-sided. And the reason it's one-sided is because the people that work in government, the people that are elected to government, to Parliament, are elected there by votes. And the more votes they can get, the more greater chance they are getting into Parliament. And in New Zealand, like anywhere else in the world, the majority of people are employees. And all employees have a union. And the union's job is to get them the best deal with the government. So they've got a very good deal at the moment. The deal with the New Zealand government, as far as employees is concerned, is if any employee gets the sack after they've been with the firm for 90 days, they can sue the boss for a personal grievance. And this is what this talk is all about. It's about a personal grievance claim, which one of my employees has made on me, and won. So how did my former employee win? Well, she won because the law is one-sided. And the reason it's one-sided is because it favours the majority. And you can't blame them for that. And I'm fighting a losing battle here. You see, I've been putting stories onto my blog telling you what happened. And I've also been putting it on YouTube. And guess what? No one responds. The only people that respond are nutters. That cyberbullies that have a go at me all the time. But no politician. Every day, when I finish this morning, I'll be sending a email out to all the politicians, and 112 or something of them in Parliament, and guess what I'll get back? 2 or 3 will say, will send an automatic reply and say I'm on holiday, or sorry, your thoughts are important to us, but we'll get back to you in another 30 days or so. No one's ever contacted me. No, they don't care. They don't bloody care. Because it's not the majority I'm talking about. I'm talking about the minority here. That's why. And what's this employment law all about? It's about money. It's not about production. Nobody produces anything. Nobody plants a seed in the ground and it grows and they manufacture something and it sells and increases the economy of the country. No. It's all about money. It's shifting money from one place to the other. And the majority of the people that are involved in this industry, the employment industry, in the Employment Relations Act, are lawyers. And many of those lawyers' firms are in politics. They work in politics. So there's a lot of money moves from the employee into the hands of lawyers, employment lawyers. It's a whole industry. And they don't care about the employee. The woman I dismissed, and we went through 4 years of torture in the employment court, her life's a mess. It's a wreck because of the law. But she didn't make any money out of it. She spent something like $40,000 on lawyers' fees. And the most I paid her was $30,000. So it cost her $10,000. Not only that, the lawyers ripped her off. The judge said, in his summing up, that the lawyers had overcharged her by $10,000 because they'd used a junior lawyer and charged senior lawyers fees. So the whole thing is corrupt. Yeah, just a minute. So why aren't businesses supporting me? Why aren't the big businesses supporting me if I'm trying to change the law which is one-sided? Well, for a starter, there are people in big business that are paid to fight the law. They make a living out of fighting the law. They get paid. And the big businesses have insurance policies against those who sue them. So it's in their interest to keep it going because the person, there's money to be made by the company. Now, the other thing is, what about the little small businessman? Well, he's too scared to say anything. You see, he's the one that's paying. I was a small businessman and I had to pay because that's the only place to get the money from. It's all about money. It's not about who's right and who's wrong. It's about money. And they look to the people with money. Now, they looked to me because I had money. I didn't have it in cash, but I had it in assets. And I was able to, and they knew that they could sell my house if I didn't pay. Because the law says if you've got judgment against you, you have to pay, as long as you got some assets. And I had some assets. When Christine sent her wage check back and said no, she didn't want her wages, she wanted a personal grievance claim because there's more money in it, I knew then there was something wrong, because I went into mediation. They kept telling me, if you don't pay, it's going to cost you thousands of dollars. You could lose everything. And I thought, and I rang a guy in Auckland who was supposed to have been representing the business people. And he said it's corrupt. He said, up here in Auckland, you wouldn't believe what's happening. He said, there's business people wanting to commit suicide because of this. It's corrupt. He said, it's just got to stop. You know, and he was all concerned about it, but he wasn't doing anything about it. He couldn't do anything, because he's sucking on it, you see. He was giving the business people advice. He was using the system to make money himself. But it is corrupt, and it's got to stop. Let me tell you a little bit about myself now. I've been in the finance industry for, 30-odd years. And most of those years I've been self-employed, had my own debt collection business. And I know all about finance. I know all about debt collection. I know what it's like for people who can't afford to pay their bills. You see, when I was in the debt collection business, I never collected a debt. I went round to see people, I wrote to people, and I said, listen, you've got a problem. I'm here to help you pay your bills. So I helped people pay their bills. I kept my business going. The last 3 years of my business, I run at a $27,000 loss. Why didn't I close the business down? Because I wanted to keep Christine in a job. She had financial problems. I knew that. And I wanted to keep her in a job. And I had a lot of clients who were relying on me. So I kept it going. I was taking no money myself. I stopped taking my money some years ago. I wanted to keep people employed. But unfortunately, Christine didn't see it that way. She took a personal grievance claim against me. When I saw how corrupt the system was, I decided not to pay. I decided I would go through the whole system and see how corrupt the system is. And when judgment was given again to me, I said I wouldn't pay. Now, what happened was, Christine heard about a mental breakdown I had some years ago. And she knew that I had a mental illness. Well, 30-odd years ago, I think it is now, 25, 30 years ago. And she brought that up. She wrote to people, telling them that I had a mental illness. She brought it up in court. She stood up in court, her and her lawyer stood up and said, Ron Bishop has bipolar disorder. And the judge let her do it. Pretty low, isn't it? How low can you get? 30 years ago, I had a mental illness, and I had to wear that. And it helped to win a case. I've asked myself, why did Christine do it? She did it for money. She wanted to make me look bad in front of the public. I haven't been able to work because it was in the newspaper that Ron Bishop, a mayoral candidate, has mental illness called bipolar disorder. So that's why I'm going to the government for $1 million. To get some of my money, not only my money back, I want to show the world that this is wrong. That in New Zealand, a beautiful country like New Zealand, we have a system that is corrupt and it's costing people jobs. I've got a friend. He lives not far from me, and he told me that he's one of his employers gave him a hiding and belted him, had an argument, and he hit him. Of course, he sacked him straight away. And then he took a personal grievance claim and got money from him. And he had to hire a lawyer, and it costed my poor neighbour thousands of dollars. I can't tell you who he is. I would love to tell you who he is, but he signed an agreement that he won't tell anybody it happened. The same with Christine. She hit a woman in her job, in previous job. But she can't tell me that. And an employer not allowed to tell me because they signed a confidentiality agreement. And Christine gave me a reference that said she was a good person, which she got after she got the sack. This is how bad it is. Absolutely bad. And it's got to change. It has to change. If we're to survive as a country, we have to change our rules. We have to be fairer in how we treat people. There is a lot of people involved in this case, and I'm going to be telling you who they are. There's a lot of people done things wrong, and I'm going to be telling you what they did wrong. But the one person I feel the most sorry for is Christine, the woman I dismissed for dishonesty, the woman that took me to the cleaners, the woman that put it across me, the woman that stood up in court and told me that I was mad, that I had mental illness, and won her case. I feel sorry for her. Christine, if you're out there, I feel sorry for you. I've written to you, Christine, as you know, and I've told you that I want to help you. I can help you if you help me. I want you to admit you did wrong. There's nothing wrong in doing things wrong as long as we admit we make mistakes. All of us make mistakes. We do things we regret. I want you to stand up and say, yes, Ron, I put it across you. I stole from you. I did things wrong, Ron, and I deserve to get the sack. That's what I want you to do. And if you do that, I will help you. And you will be helping the country by changing the law. You can help me change the law, Christine. No trouble at all. You can, by being honest. I've made a lot of bloody blues in my time. But I've always owned up to it. Yeah. We're all bloody do things wrong, don't we? We all do things wrong. Listen, I got 2 cats and a dog to look after. I got to go. I got to get this tie off, and I got to go for a walk the dogs. You know what I'm saying? Life has to go on. We can't be miserable all the time. Hey, listen, don't forget to tune in every morning. I'm going to be on this talking about stuff. I don't just about employment law. I'm going to be talking about stuff every morning. Right? And I want you to follow me. I want you to get behind what I'm doing in this particular case and other cases I'll be talking about. I've got a great, my webmaster's making me a new website called Self-Development, Personal Self-Development. I'm going to be teaching you self-development skills because I've had a lot of experience in self-development. Oh yes, I've got a lot of knowledge to part, and I want you to you can get a lot from it. Now listen, I got to go. Breakfast to have, dogs to walk, cats to feed. See you later. Hey, listen, keep smiling, won't you? Bye-bye.
Employment Law Challenge, Income Tax Avoidance, Day 4.
Good morning, everybody. How are you this morning? I'm excited about today. You know why? Because God's given me another day of life. I woke up this morning. And when you don't wake up, that's when you got problems. Anyway, today I'm going to talk about a subject you all like to hear about. I'm going to talk about tax avoidance, income tax avoidance. As you know, I'm talking about the employment law in New Zealand. And I'm telling you that the employment law is wrong. And that one of the people that are missing out on this with this employment law, they think they're gaining, but they're not, is the government. Because they're costing them money. Because people are using the system for tax avoidance. Did you hear that bang? I'm sorry about that. It's just one of the cats I'm babysitting. I'm at my son's place at the moment. I'm babysitting their cats. They have a kitten here. So there's a bit of noise from time to time, but that's all right. It's family, you know. It's all about family. Where was I up to? Oh, yeah. You know, I'm telling my life story, don't you? I'm doing my life story on video, and part of my life story is about my experience with the New Zealand employment law. And we're talking about tax avoidance. Now, I love paying tax. I don't know about you, but I love paying income tax. Because if I'm paying income tax, I'm making money. I'm not happy when I'm not paying income tax, because if I'm not paying income tax, I'm making no money. And I told you yesterday about how Christine had put the money from her insurance commissions into my bank account. And I asked her why she did that, and she said, because I don't want to pay tax on it. So what she did is she got the insurance company to put her life insurance commissions into my bank account so she wouldn't have to pay tax on it. Now, I rang the tax department. I did ring the tax department, and I wrote to them as well. And I said, listen, this lady has put money into my tax, her life insurance commission into my bank account. Has she paid tax on it? I don't think she's paid tax on it. And I rang up the insurance company, and I said, did you deduct any tax off Christine's commissions? And she said, no. And I said, why not? And she said, because it was going into a business account. And we don't take tax off when it goes into a business account. And of course, the business account was mine. But anyway, she didn't pay tax on it. And the IRD couldn't care less. They didn't come and inspect or anything. But then one of my staff noticed that Christine was doing the GST returns, but she claimed her wages as a tax deduction. In other words, when she was doing the GST, she claimed her wages as a tax. Now, there's no GST on wages in New Zealand. There's no GST, but she was claiming it. And it cost me $4,000. I rang up the IRD and said, listen, one of my former staff members has been claiming GST. So they came around and they went through all my books, and it cost me over $4,000 I had to pay. Because what was happening is Christine, you see, she was pretty shrewd. She was coming to me every month and saying, look, we've made all this money. This is our cash flow. We've made all this money. But we weren't making any money at all. She was fiddling the books. The figures weren't right. Yeah, geez, it's hard work, isn't it, being a boss? You see, I'm one of these people that I don't have a company. When I started my business as a debt collection agency, I didn't form a company. Most people would form a company so they wouldn't have to pay. If the company went broke, they wouldn't have to pay, you see. And it protects them. It protects them from anyone suing them. If it's a company, they couldn't sue me. But I was just Ron and Margaret Bishop trading as Data Communications. I didn't worry about a company. I haven't formed a trust. Most people form trusts. They form trusts so they won't have to pay tax. Or they form trusts so when they get old, they can get the government to look after them. And they can't touch their house, you see. So they put their house in the kids' names and all stuff like that. I don't do that. Look, when I get old, if I've got to go to an old people's home, they can sell my bloody house. The kids don't want my money. They've told me. They said, you use it, Dad, it's your money, so I'm going to use it. If I get old and start peeing myself on that and have to put me in a home, well, fine. They can sell my house to pay my board. That's my attitude. I don't like to rip off the taxman. You see, I knew Christine owed the taxman some money because they wrote to me and said, would you take some money off Christine's wages? She was on holiday at the time, and they wrote to me and said, would you take some tax off Christine's wages, please? I didn't do it because I went to her accountant, and they said, oh, no, we've fixed all that up. There was a mistake. I don't know whether there was a mistake or not, but, you know, it's not on, is it, eh? People trying to avoid tax, I don't believe in it myself. I had to pay Christine $30,000. The IRD wrote to me and said, will you let us know if you pay Christine any money? Well, I didn't pay Christine any money. I paid it to her lawyer, and it's up to the lawyer to advise the Inland Revenue Department. And then my accountant said to me, Ron, when you paid that $30,000, you were still in business. You still were running a business, and you were getting an income. Therefore, that $30,000 is an expense against your business. You can claim that. Now, I haven't got a very big income. I've just got a few shares and a bit of interest coming in and my pension, you know. But the law states I can claim that as an expense. The $30,000 I paid Christine, I can claim that as an expense against my business and spread it over a number of years. And that's legal. You're allowed to do that. That's fair enough. You know what I'm saying? So what's happening here in this employment law thing is the poor old tax man, he's paying, isn't he? Eh? He's forking out. People think I'm ripping the bloody system off, but I'm not. The system is ripping the taxman off. The system is ripping the... John Key thinks he's smart with this employment law thing, but he's not. People are ripping it off. All the money that's ever paid out is tax deductible. That's less tax coming into the government's coffers, you know what I'm saying? Waste of time. Wouldn't be so bad if we were producing something, but we're not producing nothing. It's just shifting money from one place to the other. Listen, just a minute, I've got something to show you here. I don't know whether I've told you or not, but I'm a bookaholic. I love to read books. But the books I read are not fiction books. The books I read are personal self-development books. I never read a book unless I can get some personal self-development out of it. And I bought a book the other day. My son, Gus, the oldest boy, he gives me a voucher for Whitcalls. Every year he gives me a voucher. But it's the same amount of money, and he's forgotten about the inflation and the price of bloody books today. So he gives me this book. This book cost, I don't know, there's a $40 book, and he gives me a $25 donation for Christmas time and a voucher. But you can't complain, can you? He's a bloody good kid, you know. I love the boy to bits. But anyway, this book I bought is called The Power of Focus. And it's by Jack Van Cranfield, Mark Victor Hansen and Les Hewitt. And I started reading this book. It's quite a big book. And the first few chapters, or the first chapter, is on habits. We are creatures of habit. And if we want to improve ourselves in life, we have to change our habits. So if you have a habit of avoiding income tax, it's a bad habit. Get in the habit of paying income tax. Get in the habit of earning more money so you can pay more tax. Right? So the government will be able to survive. And you can't line up, if you're a Maori, you can't keep lining up and asking for money if you're not paying any tax. The money has to come from tax, and the country needs taxes. Okay, listen, buy this book, The Power of Focus. It's about habits. Get into the good habits. Start using good habits. It takes, they say, I don't know, 30 days or 90 days, whatever, to change a habit. But we are creatures of habit. I get on here every morning and start spouting, and I can't sleep. I've got to get up. When the time is for me to get up, I get up. Because it's a habit of getting up, and it's a habit of speaking here once a day to you. And hopefully put a bit of sunshine into your life. I'll grizzle, yeah, I'll moan. I'll moan about the things all the time. But listen, let's communicate. Let's keep going. And I want you to write to me. At the bottom of this, somewhere you can write a comment. Somewhere will be a comment, whether it's on YouTube or on Ronnie's blog, you can write a comment. I want to hear from you. If you agree with what I'm saying, let me know. If you don't agree, let me know. Let's get some rapport going here. Okay? Hey, listen, I'll catch you tomorrow. I've got dogs to feed, cats to feed. Oh, jeez, I can smell something around here. I've got to fix it. See you later. Catch you later. Bye-bye.
Employment Law Challenge. Solicitors, Lawyers and Judges. Day 5.
Good morning, folks. How are you? Bit chilly this morning, isn't it? I've got my jersey on. It's one of them possum jerseys. Boy, does it get hot. I've got to take it off every now and again when it gets too hot. So what were we talking about yesterday? Oh, listen, I've got some apologies to make. Apologies for sending you an email with all those names of all those people. I forgot to put it in the CC bottom. You know, the blind copies. I put it up the top, so I'm sorry about that. But people don't worry today, do they? I mean, one time you didn't want anyone to know your email address, but it doesn't matter. You can't help it today, because as soon as you send someone an email, it's sitting there, isn't it, for everyone to see. And the other thing I forgot to do is put a subject on one of them. I sent an email out and I forgot about a subject. But never mind. That's what happens. And another thing that happened, things seem to go bad yesterday. I didn't have enough bandwidth. I don't really know what bandwidth is, but anyway, I got hold of him. I'm lucky I've got Mark. Mark's my mate. He's my webmaster. And anything goes wrong with my computer, I just email him or something and say, hey, fix this. Anyway, apparently I hadn't paid them enough money. Oh, listen, I'm going to take this jersey off. Just a minute. It's a possum and wool jersey. By jeez, they get hot. That's better. Now, what was I talking about? Yeah, we're talking about making mistakes. We all make mistakes. Now, today I was going to talk about fear. I want to touch on fear very quickly here. I'm not afraid of anything. I'm not afraid of spiders. I'm not afraid of policemen. I'm not afraid of lawyers. I'm not afraid of doctors. I'm not afraid of judges. I'm not afraid of any of the law, policemen. I'm not afraid of anything, right? Because I look at it this way. Why be afraid of people? People either stand up or sit down to pee. I read in a book once, they said if you're going to have to meet the Queen, don't be afraid. She's just an ordinary person. Just imagine her sitting on the toilet doing a pee. She's just ordinary. Bring her down to your level. Same with doctors, lawyers, solicitors. All those they think they're important, but they're not. They're just ordinary people like you and I. So let's talk about lawyers. Lawyers and solicitors. Same bloody thing. You know they're charged like ruined bulls. Don't they charge something terrible, these lawyers? I remember going to see a guy once. I was looking for a lawyer, you see, because I'd had a couple of traffic fines. And I popped in to see this guy. I was only there about, I don't know, 10, 20 minutes or something. And the bloody thing, he sent me a bill. We got talking about other things. But he sent me a bill. I said, what the bloody hell is this bill for? Oh, he said, you come and talk to me about your fines. God almighty, they charge like... And there's Gary. Gary's a guy, I can't remember his other name, but anyway, he was a solicitor. After I dismissed Christine, I went to see him. I said, you better come and see him. I've just sacked somebody. And I took along all the notes that how I'd given her a warning and all that. And he said, oh, you should be right, Ron, no trouble at all. He said, just let me know don't do anything, but let me know if you hear from anyone. So I did hear from them. She got a solicitor and they wrote me a letter. So I rang him up and told him. Then I found out that her son was pinching stuff out of my, not pinching, he went and booked some stuff up in my name and stuff like that. And he gave me a couple of things. I spoke to him on the phone a couple of times, but then he sent me a bloody bill, you wouldn't believe, $250 an hour, and he had about 3 or 4 bloody hours on it, and I thought, holy hell, if I'm going to go through this employment thing, it's going to cost me a fortune just on my own lawyer. So I thought, now, why do I need a lawyer? She's guilty, she's done this and she's done that, she's guilty, I don't need a bloody lawyer, I can do it myself. So I did it myself, but oh, Jesus, you wouldn't believe it. I got a mate, Quentin, bloody good bloke, got a bit of Maori in him, nice bloke though. He gave me a bit of advice, free advice, after I went to see him and said that, she's going to take a personal grievance claim. He said, she wants money. She doesn't want justice, she wants money. But anyway, I made a deal with Quentin, because he's a good bloke, and I said, I can't afford you. But what I want to do is I want to do all the documents myself, and I want you to have a look at them. And you charge me for looking at them. Righto, Ron. So we wrote up a contract. We had terms of trade, but when I did all the documents, and then I went to see him for some advice to have a look at the documents, but he was away on holiday. So I never used him. So I never had a lawyer. I went right through the whole system without a lawyer. I tell you what, the government says everyone has the right to a lawyer. It's not true. They have this outfit called, what do they call themselves? Canterbury Community Law or something, and they advertise that free advice. Not true. Free advice to everybody except the employer. employers don't get free advice. They won't give you free advice. Talk about free advice. There's another bloke called Russell List. You don't even know Russell. Not a bad bloke. Geez, I went along to see him. Because they have this called Citizens Advice Bureau, where you can get free advice. So I went along there, and Russell comes out, and I said, he said, "What's wrong, Ron?" I said, "Listen, I've got this bloody determination. I lost this case because..." And he said, "Give me a look." And he starts reading, and he said, "Ron, you're guilty. You're guilty. You're guilty of sin. You'd have to pay." I said, "What if I don't pay?" He said, "You'll go bankrupt. They'll put you bankrupt." Now, what the bugger didn't tell me, his client was Christine. I found out later, his client was Christine. She had 6 bloody lawyers in the one town. So I couldn't get a lawyer. Oh, jeez, it was terrible. Just a minute. I went along to the police station after all this thing was going on, you see, and I asked to see someone to look into it, and the big chief, he wouldn't see me, a fellow by the name of Dave Gaskin, runs the Timaru Police, but he wouldn't see me. He spoke to me once through the bars and they have bars in the police station, and he spoke to me through there. But anyway, another time I went to see him, he wouldn't even take me in the office, he'd just stand and talk to you. But anyway, Offen, that's right, Mark, he's got a mate, his deputy's Mark Offen. And anyway, I saw Mark, nice guy. And I said to him, I said, "Jesus, I don't trust solicitors." He said, "Well, you have to trust solicitors because the judge was a solicitor. They're friends, all mates, you see. You have to trust them." Oh, jeez. Anyway, I made him do an investigation. I said, "This is wrong, you should investigate." So he did an investigation. You know what he did? He just went to his mate, because there's another cop there that apparently I'd seen once before. And also, they got the determination. This thing they get from the Employment Relations Authority is called the determination. Some young girl, she's just out of... don't even know that she's a lawyer. Don't even know she's been to law school. Nothing on her name. But she makes a decision, you see. She's got this big responsibility. And they call it a determination, the Employment Relations Authority determination. So he gets a hold of this determination, you see, this Mark Offen, the deputy of the police, and he reads it all, and then he writes a big report based on their determination, not on his investigation. He didn't get Christine in an interviewer. She never made a statement. He didn't go out and make a statement. He just went from this bloody determination and said that she's okay. She wasn't guilty of anything, you see. It's bloody, it make you cry. I tell you what, I've had enough of this. I've had a bloody enough. I was going to interview people, I was going to do all sorts of things on this blog. But I've had enough. What I want you to do is at the top left-hand side, where you got a search engine on this blog, type in employment law. If you're on YouTube, type in employment law, Ron E. Bishop, Timaru, New Zealand. Ron E. Bishop, employment law. You'll find, I don't know, how many dozens and dozens of articles about this case. No need for me to go on anymore. That's enough. Christine's had enough. I've had enough. Everybody, my wife's had enough. Everybody's had a bloody enough. So what do I want? I want $1 million for my reputation. Do I need the $1 million? No, I don't really want the bloody $1 million. But it's a lesson. I want the government to have a lesson. My reputation has been buggered. Christine's reputation has been buggered. The whole bloody thing is a farce. And there needs to be some dollars in the middle there, like $1 million to fight over. If someone gives me $1 million, I'll give most of it away. Sure, I might take Mum on a trip overseas. We might go on a cruise, or we might go to Scotland, or that $30,000 that I give Christine, I want that back. If I got that $30,000 back, I might take Mum on a trip. She'll be 80 years of age this year. She deserves it. She's bloody been through tremendous pressure. You got me to put up with. She said to someone one day, it's right for you. She said, I got to live with the bucket. Yeah, so I've had enough. I'm sorry, Christine. I'm sorry it's turned out this way. I'm sorry to everybody I've hurt. I'm sorry, but listen, you've bloody hurt me too. And I just want some compensation. Take the hat around, will you? You coppers, you bloody solicitors, take the hat around. Give me a few dollars. Give me my 30,000 back. And I'll go away and I'll shut up and we'll get on with life and we'll do something decent. Okay? I love you all. And see you later. Bye-bye.
The Look of a Broken Man, Ron E. Bishop, ripped off by his own country's one-sided law.